Welcome outside Gillette Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, joined as always by Patriots expert columnist and reporter for WEEI.com, Christopher Price. All right, Chris, things wrap up here on Friday toward the end of week number 1 of Patriots training camp. A bit of an uneven performance, I'd say, from the offense. Would you agree?
Yeah, exactly. And I think there are a couple of different things that go into that. I think, first of all, you lose LeGarrette Blount roughly halfway through practice. Looked like a knee injury. That's certainly something worth keeping an eye on going forward. The other thing is, you didn't have probably, arguably, at least your top 2, maybe your top 3 receivers out there today. So I think there were some uneven elements to what they were doing on the offensive side of the ball. The other side, it's a good day for the defense. They forced a couple of fumbles. Brady was picked off once. Garoppolo was picked off once. If you're looking for a winner out of Friday's practice, it was definitely the defense.
And I thought Duron Harmon made a great read. Wrote about him on Friday morning on WEEI.com. This is a chance for him to step up along with Devin McCourty and really be a leader in that secondary, and Patrick Chung. And he made a nice pick of Jimmy Garoppolo, who did not make the wisest decision on one particular throw in the red area.
It was arguably his worst decision at camp to this point. Now you juxtapose that with what we saw early on. Garoppolo and Danny Amendola arguably had the best throw and catch of camp to this point down the far sidelines. Amendola leans out, lays out for the ball, makes a great one-handed catch on a deep ball. So Garoppolo, at least in my mind, had the best throw of the day. He also had the worst throw of the day.
All right, Danny Amendola spoke to us reporters after practice here on Friday, and he was asked about whether or not this is a breakout year for him potentially. Is there a lot on the line for him individually? And he, as you would expect from a team player on the New England Patriots, said, I'm just going to do whatever the Patriots ask me to do. Now, to your point, this is a big opportunity for not only a guy like Josh Boyce, but Amendola to really step forward. You think he can have a breakout year?
I think Danny Amendola is really, it's setting up right now for him to have a very good year if he stays healthy. That's always the proviso when you're talking about Danny Amendola. Amendola has looked very good over the first week of camp to this point. Even before Edelman went down and he kind of took those reps and really kind of stepped into that role, he was already looking very good. But I think if you're looking for one guy who has done the best job when it comes to seizing the opportunities that have been presented to him, it's Danny Amendola. Again, he got the best catch of camp, at least in my experience today. He's looked very, very good. He's caught just about everything that's been thrown in his direction. He is the one guy, at least on the offensive side of the ball to this point, that has done the best over the first week.
We're going to go back to LeGarrette Blount because I think it deserves some extra attention. You concerned long term if he goes down with any particular injury? They have a bunch of running backs really with not a lot of experience. Obviously, we know the story of Jonas Gray from last year. He broke out with that 200-yard game against the Colts on Sunday Night Football, but there are a lot of question marks in that backfield, Traveris Cadet, and so forth. You concerned?
I don't know if I'm concerned yet, but I think you do raise a good point when you're talking about that running back situation. There are a lot of guys there, but they've always treated the running back situation as kind of guys who are interchangeable, right. but at the same time, you just don't have a lot of experience in the system. You have a guy in Brandon Bolden actually has the most seniority in the New England system. We saw him get a lot of reps out here today. Yep. After Blount went down, we saw Jonas Gray get a lot of reps out here without Blount. Tyler Gaffney was not on the field as well, so James White got some more reps. Brandon Bolden is another guy who I still think is going to be part of this mix. I know he was a special teams guy mostly last year, but I think that you know, if this thing continues, we're going to see more out of him. I think right now it's more preventative than anything else, but I certainly think that it's something to keep an eye on going forward.
All right, the NFL officials making their trek around training camps as they do and have been for the last decade or so. And Tony Steratore, the brother of Gene Steratore, the NFL referee, stopped by Gillette Stadium. He spoke with us in the media before coming out here for another Patriots practice. And obviously the Deflategate issues, the PSI issues were raised. And I thought he brought up a very interesting point, Chris. He said, we're going to pay particular attention. We're going to be meticulous along with NFL football ops, i.e. the guys in New York City. But once the game starts, we're not going to be concerned about football, PSIs and footballs. We have a lot more other things to be concerned about. I think that's a great answer simply because the officials don't want to come across as being consumed with air pressure and miss so many other critical parts of the game.
The takeaway that I had from that was the fact that it is going to be a point of emphasis, but it's not going to be an overriding issue for them. I think they're going to pay attention to it. They should pay attention to it, obviously, given the case, given what happened, given what has happened, and all the drama that's happened over the last 6 months. But it does not sound like it is going to be their overriding concern, to your point, when the game starts. It has to be put in perspective. You can't have that be the number one priority, for the officials throughout the game. You have a million other things going on. And I'm just fascinated to see how the league is going to continue to deal with this when it comes to protocol before the game, during the game, involving the referee, involving the officials. You get another official involved. There's a lot of different things that are still in play. And I guess ultimately, I'm not surprised that there is still a lot of uncertainty as we sit here 5 weeks before the start of the season.
It's also interesting, Chris, is Steratore was the back judge during the Ravens-Patriots playoff game, and he gave great praise, went out of his way to really praise Bill Belichick for saying that Belichick and his coaching staff did everything by the rule. They did not, skirt the rule. They did not try to bend the rule. They informed the official. Yes, would officials normally like to be told of things beforehand? Of course, but that is not the obligation or the requirement of the head coach, in this case, Bill Belichick. So he went out of his way to praise Bill Belichick and say that he informed us the right way. We, in turn, went over to John Harbaugh, the Ravens head coach, and made him aware of the ineligible receiver rule. And I thought he did a good job of kind of putting that to rest.
That's something that has really been lost in the wash here over the last few months, that we've all been focused on Deflategate, and we've all been focused on deflated footballs, but at the same time, this whole drama in the AFC divisional playoff game involving the Ravens, involving what Baltimore perceived to be an ineligible official, or an ineligible receiver, that's been kind of brushed away. We've all kind of forgotten about that. So I think it was good for him to address that today. I would love to see the reaction he would get in Baltimore using the same explanation, but that's not again.
Neither one of us, for the record, and for our boss Rob Bradford, plan to travel down to Baltimore and find out the answer to that. So Rob, you can sleep well at night knowing that we're not going to run up the budget to dig into that story. All right, Patriots training camp will continue here on Saturday outside Gillette Stadium. It will be a morning practice. For all the coverage, as always, go to WEEI.com. Outside Gillette Stadium, for Christopher Price, I'm Mike Petraglia, WEEI.com.